Are we open meeting? Perfect. I think the first order of business, we've got Greg and Mike here.
That,
I guess one of you has to bring a seat or stand, I don't know where to put it. There you go. That's what I would do. So that's the contract.
okay.
Thank you for the 5 o'clock slot.
Yes.
No problem.
So, we're here to talk about Invest New Hampshire 2.0 grant. And so successfully applied for the funds, funding 100% state money. And there is $800 or so for town admin costs. Our goal with just on the admin side is to have a very light footprint. So put together, try to do as much of the materials that they need for that invoicing in-house and if it can, so you can basically do that. But really what it does is it gives some flexibility to work through housing related potential zoning changes and regulatory changes, have a public conversation, kind of similar to what we did last fall, with the target of, if the planning board opts to bring zoning changes to town meeting, it's town meeting 26. So lots of time. But also if there are things that, the land development regulations that you want to tweak, those can all be, incorporated under this grant. We had 4 communities apply for the HOP 2.0 in our region. All 4 were successful.
Go to the other ones, please.
So we've got Bosquen,
Yeah.
Warner, and what else do we have? Yes. A couple, very similar, kind of following up a master plan. And so that public conversation about housing and about, potential ways to update your zoning. So, it's I think a lot of support in our state government for HOP 2.0. We talk a lot about housing in New Hampshire. So, some new administration, and it sounds like the next administration is pretty supportive of these projects. But I think we have thought of the process last year to get to town meeting was very successful here in Canterbury. We got more people than come to those meetings and have pizza and talk about housing.
And you're keeping tabs, I would assume, on what's happening at the state level for any of these and bringing that into the conversation as well.
We've actually used the farmstead option as an example in a couple of communities. Ways to perhaps improve their cluster. So some of the things that we work through here, we're talking about a couple of communities as well.
You mean use the farmstead option as part of your discussion with the HOP?
Yeah. So, when we're in Sutton, this is what we talked about. Canterbury, some changes that Canterbury made last year. So, those are good conversations to have. If the town wants to.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some important things that we need to work on. One is our workforce housing ordinance is quite out of date. And the problem with an out of date ordinance is it makes you vulnerable to less than best outcomes. You lose your opportunity to shape how things happen to a large degree. Another thing I'd like to, just talking about the farmstead alternative, everybody agrees, or not everybody, but there seems to be great support for protecting open fields protecting viewscapes, but there is not much agreement on how that can happen. And in fact, there's very little understanding of how it could happen. A lot of misunderstanding about what our ability to regulate is. We can't just say 20 acre minimum lot size. It's not legal or it's not defensible. And so we have, working with what we have, how we can shape it and how learn what the community wants about how we can shape it, what our, present what are the options that we've thought about, maybe somebody has other options, and then see if people can agree on something. So, and can try to, again, protect the viewscapes and protect the open fields and the field of Canterbury that people value so highly.
I think the nice thing about this grant though is that there's plenty of time. So it's not a race in November to get to town meeting 26. We can start now. Things are busy to gear up for this town meeting, but start having that public conversation on a couple of different, see where it goes.
So how does everything you'd be talking about using the HOP grant differ from all the conversations you had to put together with the housing issue in the plan for tomorrow, current plan for tomorrow, or is it just a continuation of that discussion?
Conversation, yeah. And it's nice to have some time for it.
Always, I would think.
I would think we'd be trying to target for a meeting, definitely sometime during the summer, earlier or late during the summer, to have a first meeting and hopefully space for 2 meetings thereafter if one to kind of wrap things up, or if things aren't wrapping up, to try to move it towards wrapping up.
But there's also the opportunity to go to smaller groups and to talk about it too. Spend some time with the Conservation Commission when we're talking about different things and other groups, who's interested in talking about it.
And again, it's not all or nothing. It's, I'm sure there'll be, cleaning up the workforce housing thing is very straightforward in many ways.
It can be a lot simpler. And that's, some good examples of much simpler approaches to workforce housing.
Looking ahead to 2026, are you foreseeing kind of one, what you call it, a super warrant article, or a series of warrant articles?
I think that's always an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be said that it all has to go to 26 town meeting. We can have some materials and, I think taking our time is a nice approach. So, have materials, as an outgrowth of the process for 27, 28. That's a conversation to kind of have over the summer and gear up.
I think that people may feel as though they have more control if they're allowed to vote on individual warrant articles.
That's how we did. That's why we decided to do it that way in the past. It's a lot easier certainly to discuss the issues if you're talking about one thing at a time rather than some big long stuff.
Yeah.
And do you have, if 2026 is kind of the next goalpost for this grant, do you see it taking you from now till then, the whatever it was, 17,000 that was awarded?
I think
to us?
we would kind of get started and maybe have a couple of times going into the planning board, then build into the public process, and then you're right through into zoning and that zoning season. So
Warrant
articles. So we're probably going under this right through town.
Yeah. And I see, Mike, it calls for submittal of bi-monthly progress reports with supporting documentation. Who's that going to go to?
So the last grant round, I did the reporting.
Yep.
And then send it over as part of
So
the
the town administrator?
part of the reimbursement process.
Okay.
They're asking actually that Ken would do the reporting. I'll do the report, send it to you, you change whatever you want. This is what we did, this is what the planning board did, you send it back to me, I package it and send it over to InvestNH. So as light a footprint as possible.
Yes,
Is that the only copy of that?
that's the contract right there.
Have you seen this one?
They have the full grant agreement here. Greg, did you get this to sign it? They sent it to us on the 4th of December.
I
I
thought
got an email back.
Yes.
She was wondering if
I
you got it.
printed this out to sign,
Okay,
or I can sign that,
yeah, whichever. We just gotta sign it and get it back to them, that's all.
but, well,
Because you're the primary, so
Yeah.
you should be the one to sign it, yeah.
so why did I sign it?
Yep.
Now, and
Yep.
package it back.
So typically we do billing every other month, just because it's, there's a lot, there's steps. So, what we would do is fill it out
Signature.
with our time, leave the space open for staff's time, and you can have, whatever time the staff spent added to that, and seeking reimbursement.
06.
Mike, I'm just looking at this, it says, beginning upon approval of the agreement, the staff will provide general planning assistance in support of the tasks outlined in the town's InvestNH grant award. Is there a copy of,
So that would
is
be,
that what?
this would be attached to our sub-agreement.
Oh, okay. And do we have we seen a copy of that? The grant award, what it outlines? Is that,
Yeah, that's the one that
That's
Greg
just
just
the grant.
that's what that is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Can we get a copy of that?
Yep.
Please?
I can do that.
Always like to know what I'm signing on to.
good practice.
I worked with a crazy boss that used to send faxes at 6 a.m. and say, just sign this. Before our meeting at 10. Great. It's a nice grant. How many of these did they give out?
Clifton, go ahead.
I'm just curious, did the planning board vote on securing this grant?
Yes, we did.
I didn't see it in the minutes, so I was just curious. But that's a yes, Greg.
Yes.
And there was a letter
Of support from the select board as well.
There was. I remember, I remember that, although I don't remember the date on that either.
Back in September was,
Who actually applied for and secured this grant?
this is the town's application.
Town's application?
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything further from any of the select board members?
No, I was just curious how many of these grants we're giving out, because it's a nice sized grant.
So, like I said, we had 4,
For those
I'm
4.
not sure, might have been 30 around the state, 28. There's a couple of other programs under the HOP program. So Bosquen actually applied to be a housing champion, and they got that. So this was kind of just a separate process in the HOP process. And that gives them an opportunity to make a pitch for some infrastructure money. So, they've got some water and sewer that they're trying to do down at the Canterbury. So, then there's some funds in there for demolition of, so they might be able to use that to add to some of the demolition costs at the old tannery.
Clifton?
One more quick question.
Go ahead.
Was this whole grant federal money? Because in the New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority website it says in whole or in part.
So the original Invest New Hampshire funds were ARPA funds. So a rescue plan. I think they kind of commingled. I think some of these dollars are ARPA funds. I'm not positive if all of them are.
You don't know the amount?
No.
Okay.
Can it be ARPA funds though? But that, I thought that ended December 31st.
So I think there were some, I'm not sure exactly how they did that, but I was under the impression that these were ARPA funds, or some ARPA funds were still in there. And
Can
they
any
were-
insight?
So the ARPA funds had to be dedicated by contract by December 31st of 2024,
Yeah.
and then have to be expended by December 31st, 2025. So it could be ARPA funds that were dedicated.
Yeah,
I don't know how,
Yeah.
what they use for evidence. Like our ARPA funds, we were required to dedicate them by the end of the year, but we don't actually report that until April. So we signed a contract with a vendor before the end of the year, but we don't actually submit that until April of '25. So I don't know, it depends, I don't know what the requirements are.
But I think there was some general fund money in it, but I think there was some ARPA money still, and how they recodified that to make it
yeah,
pass muster with the, the requirements.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I definitely know the first set of HOP funds were ARPA funds.
Clint, anything further from you?
No, thank you.
You're
Excuse
welcome.
me.
Anything further from the selectmen? Okay,
That's
do we
all right.
need a motion, or, so we just? And I think it's just for one spot, sorry.
The other night, we talked about the circuit rider option provided by Municipal Association. At some point, Beth, you had asked about, does the person actually come in and sit in the office? And actually, I asked that of Mike, and Mike, you had an example of a town where Matt actually does go into the
Matt does
office.
go to Bradford every other Wednesday for a couple of hours, and is always available if anybody, can call that day if they go in, or text him. But he does go for office hours in Bradford.
Yeah.
Every time that we've set up a circuit rider, we've set it up a different way, depending upon the needs of the town. Sometimes we've had circuit riders in just the express. The interest of everybody is to have Matt work his way out of a job. So, when a young, perhaps a staff person comes in who's a little nervous about all that is, and we've had that experience where, he's worked with them and then all of a sudden, they don't need him as much, where it's only once a call every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But he can certainly, if you wanted to do that, be on call or have a time where Matt would be there for, 3 hours on a Wednesday and do other things Canterbury-wise if he was there. That's typically, so he's, but basically things more virtual for Deering, and Bradford's a little more hands-on, Stephen and other places.
Yeah.
And that would be, excuse me, specifically to deal with anything related to the HOP grant and those activities?
Well, that
or
could,
for-
no, that could actually be, if you wanted, kind of an extension of your, land use
Of the land
administration.
use, yeah.
So it's those,
To work with the land use administration.
I get those questions that I haven't run across, that Matt has, just,
Yeah.
kind of day in, day out. What about this? Ask
Yeah.
Matt. And sometimes that's just helpful when you're also bringing in somebody new that you've got kind of that backup,
Yeah,
get them up to speed, spin them off.
yeah. I think at this point, we've got somebody for the next several months.
Yes.
So I think at this point, no, at least for me, unless anybody else feels different.
But if you need something like that, I mean, typically under your membership, if there's a question where, but if you need something a little bit more organized and I have found just the last few years, such a hard position to fill and retain that person.
Well, we certainly found that the first time around,
Yeah.
and I think we're finding that.
And not scare them off, so, being
Well, just
able
find
to.
them, never mind scaring them off, just
I know.
finding them.
It's a difficult position.
It's a difficult,
to fill.
hey, how about some night meetings and
Yeah, exactly.
time?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And also something that that there's a lot of nuance to.
Yeah. It
So,
certainly is.
if that was something you wanted to have a little bit more organized, we could certainly do that.
Okay.
But in the meantime, yeah, they should know that they can call anytime.
Very good.
I brought it up as a budget, looking forward to budget, possible
Yeah.
issue of it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, speaking of the budget, is that, and you say that's included in our membership, but say Matt gets 6 calls a week from Canterbury.
So, and that's always a, we start to, then I come in and say, hey, it's a lot, it's more than, do you wanna do something more organized?
Alright.
And typically our hourly rate for Matt, for our communities is $65 now.
Good to know.
But we do use Matt, that both Jan and Michelle reach out to Matt regularly,
Yeah.
at least a couple times a week.
And I'm certainly, that's what we want. It's when it's, hey, come on over for a couple hours, or, we've got that 6-lot subdivision that we wanna do that review.
Okay. Great.
In that situation, it would be paid for by the applicant on those two
You do an
situations.
escrow for those, and, just like if you need some engineering review, if you have a subdivision that you want more, and then Matt could certainly do a plan review. When he does that for Epsom, he makes sure that the engineer has their lane and Matt has his lane, and they may talk a little bit, but they're not reviewing the same thing and making the same comments.
Great. Thank you for clearing that up.
Thank you, John.
All right, thanks.
Did you want me to sign? We have, so this was our sub-agreement as well.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Go to research right here.
Signature right here. Signature right here.
Well, sign while you can.
Getting high, so send you a copy of it.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Off the warrant.
See you soon.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're off
thank
the border today?
Yeah.
All right. Safe travels.
Stay warm, fellas.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see it.
Yeah. That's a hike.
Am I up?
You're up. Welcome, thank you.
See you, Rich.
So this is a follow-up. You guys should have a paper that looks like this.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's it, Scott, right there.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, very good.
Solid waste scrap.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is a follow-up to last time I was before you with the PowerPoint presentation, and I hope you guys got a second chance to look at that with the notes and stuff. Cal had it, so I don't know if you had an opportunity to look at it again. You asked me, the big 3 takeaways I got from the last meeting was footprint, infrastructure, and estimate is what I got from feedback from you guys. So footprint, the site requirements, those are basically the requirements for a site. 3-phase power is a bonus. Minimum of 3 acres. I see up, somewhere between 3 and 5 acres, based on current site size. We're using just a little over 2 acres at the current site out of that footprint.
Yeah.
That's roughly it without surveying it. Want space for the collection and separation of everything that everybody brings to the dump. Short-term storage for baled recyclables. That's a big kicker right now is, why we're throwing paper in the packet truck is because we can't store it anywhere. So if you could put set up a series of pole barns are cheap. They're not difficult and they're weather friendly. They keep the snow and rain and stuff off the stuff. They're great things. Installation of an elevated drive-on weighing scale. I mentioned that a little bit last time with you guys. How Guilford did a $40,000 investment and got that and another $40,000 in the first year when they put one in.
This is to make sure that you're charging accurately for what people are
That's what it boils down to, because it's hard, it's really, really hard for somebody, and you're putting a lot of weight on Dave at the dump to guesstimate, you know, he's going by volume and we're getting charged by weight. You know, they don't care how much you bring up there, they're weighing it at the incinerator. Composting organics. There's a new, I don't know if you're aware of the new state law. Anybody that generates 1 ton of food waste per week, we don't have anywhere here in Canterbury.
Yeah.
But anybody that generates 1 ton of food waste has to have some sort of a composting program. That's a new state law. It just came out January 1st.
Any individual or business who generates 1 ton? Okay.
1 ton a week. So it's coming down the pike. So.
Well, it would only come down our pike if we start generating 1
ton, but what I'm saying is people are looking at food waste as a significant contributor to the waste stream.
Where does the stuff in the school go?
I think it goes in that dumpster. I don't know.
Where does that go?
That goes
Pennacook or?
wherever they're cutting dumpsters.
It's Casella, whoever,
Yeah,
Gotta be,
contractors.
yeah.
whoever contracts it.
It's not counted as part of the town's tonnage too. No, it's always, there's one private hauler that comes into Canterbury, Shaver, and
Yeah.
That tonnage is counted towards Canterbury's tonnage.
We want easy access for trailer trucks. You know, obviously, that's the stuff how the stuff gets shipped out, maintenance vehicles, you know, the heavy equipment, the front end loader and that kind of stuff. And then citizen vehicles, towing trailers. And the big thing here is multiple lanes for citizens to access the different operations at different locations simultaneously. Right now, we're stuck in this footprint. I don't know if you guys, it's only been a month. If you ever got a chance to go up to Guilford or even Boston, they just have multiple lanes. It's spread out more, and it's a lot easier for people to move around. And so that's the site needs. Project, I really see this coming in without some hard and fast numbers like a scale and everything. It's going to be under 2 million. I see closer to 1.5 is what the total cost is going to be. And then from here on, the rest of the paper, this is sort of like I broke it down into a timeline. So for this town meeting, if we can get a warrant establishing a capital reserve fund, and then I italicize the new transfer station and all costs associated with designing, construction, and equipment. Ken might have some input into, he did a little bit of research. He told me today, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, and then the other thing is that we would take and do a presentation at town meeting highlighting basically it's a proactive approach to make a move now to address the inevitable issues that are facing the current site. What we would do is once we get that fund established, shows us that we got a commitment by the town that we're gonna move forward with it. We would take it, and then the committee would take and do these 3 bullet points. We would seek and determine the best possible location that meets all the required needs. I think I shared with you guys last time, my preference is exit 18, and there's probably at least 5 or 6 parcels down there that would suit this.
Is there 3-phase power there?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yep.
Does it travel West Road or?
Yeah.
Okay, the length of West or?
Yeah, well, it comes all the way up to Hackenborough, one should be.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it
the
comes up on the
substation in Boston, across the river.
Yeah.
That's where the power comes from, it comes
Okay.
towards Canterbury,
Okay.
so it comes right
Yeah.
across the river.
Okay.
So it goes right up West Road and then
Yeah.
goes up, comes right down Center Road and then comes right to here, right to the intersection, and then shoots up
the orchard.
Hackleboro.
Yeah, okay.
Number 2, community engagement. So what we would do, the committee would conduct surveys and informational meetings as necessary to define the scope of the project and address public concerns. There's gonna be people that are gonna object to it. We know there are, but it's gonna be an educational campaign. Letting people know why we should be doing this now. Seek and identify citizens with expertise. Big thing is to keep the costs down. If we can reach out to people in town that want to work on this project and want to be involved with it and get everybody's input, I think in the long run, I'm sure there's plenty of people. I'm sure there's people that want to be involved, and it's a big project. Planning, budgeting. In this year's time, get detailed estimates of the costs associated with the identified requirements regarding the site layout, the facility construction, and any equipment purchases. And then we can break it down into potential phases of the project. So that would be after town meeting up to the next town meeting. We turn the paper over. So in town meeting 26, what we would look for is a warrant to acquire the land. That's when we would buy the land. And then another, to soften the blow to taxpayers, put a significant capital reserve allotment towards this cost. So we're looking for something now, just in good faith, so that we can take in, okay, this is what the town wants to do, the committee's gotta work on this. Next year, next town meeting, whatever, depending on taxes, whatever the select board feels is a chunk, whether they wanna pay for half of it, or pay a portion of it, or, that's up to the town. And then the year in between that next town meeting in 26 and 27, this is where we would start boots on the ground here. Collaborate with professionals to obtain true, realistic budget costs. Nothing's going to get cheaper. Every year, prices are going to go up, and I think the sooner you start on this, the quicker the more you're going to save on it. And then we will also actively spend some time seeking grants to support construction of the facility and our equipment. That's when we could take and start looking into what's available at the time. And when do those expire, and that whole gamut. And then finally in town meeting 27, so 2 years from this upcoming town meeting, we would look for a final warrant to build the facility accounting for previous reserves allocated to the project. And again, we can plan it out so that we build it in phases. However we want to take and break it down, soften the blow to the taxpayers. And that's what I come up with, guys. I'm here to answer any questions that you guys might have. I also am planning to attend the meeting tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And I know it's a tough time. I can appreciate that the taxes are going up. All I'm really looking for right now is whether it's, back up a little bit. I talked to Tim earlier today, and he had some possible guidance. Did you have a chance to go back and look?
Yep. So in 1985, there was a warrant article number 11 to establish a cap reserve account for implementation of a dump transfer station. Right now, there's a little over $6,000 in that, is left in that account, cap reserve account. I could run this by town council to see if, and DRA to see if this would be sufficient that we could use that existing cap reserve account.
Yeah.
Or if they felt that we needed to do a new one. Even if we had to establish a new one with different language, you could put a warrant article to take the money out of this account, close it, and then move that money into the new account if needed. So one way or the other, because unless you wanted to, I mean, this one was for implementation of a dump transfer station. We have one, it's already been done. Again, this was in 1985.
When was the transfer station here implemented? The one we have now?
85.
Yes,
In 85?
well, in 1988, they withdrew money from that account reserve account to build the transfer station.
Okay, so this is the leftovers.
This is the leftover,
Alright.
yes. It's mostly, they withdrew almost all of the principal, but it's been collecting interest since 1988. So there's some left over there,
Okay.
and that's what we have. So,
Does implementation, the way that's worded, say there were pressing needs at the transfer station now, aside from anything involved with moving or considering a new transfer station, would that $6,000 be for that? Could it be for that?
Don't know.
All right.
That's a tough one. Because of the language, implementation
Yeah.
means startup, so to speak, I guess. And I don't think we could really get away with using
Okay.
that for that. That's kind of a stretch.
I mean, we haven't heard.
If it said implementation and maintenance of
Yeah.
it, then that would work, but
Yeah.
it only says implementation, so.
So we would continue to use the present site for the highway department, right?
Depending on if I'm not sure what the DES regulations would be. I sent an email to our engineering firm and asked them a few questions about it. They basically said that they would, probably the best way to get an answer for that would be to contact DES, set up a meeting, and find out what their requirements would be. Because my guess is once that transfer station stopped operation, then they would probably put the pressure on to tap that landfill, would be my guess. And that may,
Then we'd have to spend that money.
yeah, I mean, again, there's no money in that account at the state level, so it could be years, but they would say, well, you need to take the building down, and you need to do this, and you need to do that in preparation. These are costs that could be borne by the town to start with, and then it would be a complicated process, I would assume, since there's no money in that state fund for it.
That would be a really interesting part of your whole budgeting process is, okay, great,
I
brand new
really-
shiny dump, but what do we do with the old transfer
Right.
station and what's the cost of that?
That, again, that may be, we need to sit down with the engineer
Wow.
and
I
the
think so long as the ground wasn't disturbed, you know, the highway department continued to use it, the salt shed.
Yeah.
Mixing the salt with the sand, loading the trucks and stuff like that, as long as towards the transfer station itself where the landfill is, as long as that wasn't disturbed, there'd be no red flags to the DES. And like you said, there's no money. In our research, there's somewhere between 250 and 300 of these sites like this in New Hampshire. There's a lot of them.
Right.
And for them to put pressure on any of the towns to take and cap them, it is kind of silly. If money came down the pike and they wanted to start capping them, I mean, they'd have to chip in, you know, at some point.
Yeah.
So as long as, you know, the building, they could use the building to store equipment in if they wanted to, you know, whatever the highway department wanted to do. You know, I think just as long as the surface is not disturbed, which is what we're running into as far as, you know, trying to design pole barns and.
I guess I'm just saying that it should be checked as opposed to saying we think. That's the
Yeah.
is as part of the plan.
Well,
This is
it's
what we
kind of,
know.
it's kind of one of those things.
Of course, if you ask, then
Exactly, and that's what we're trying to
okay.
avoid.
Though we do have a cap reserve for capping it, should that, we still are funding that, correct?
Right.
Every year, we fund a cap reserve for capping the,
Yeah, I think we would put $1,000.
yeah, okay.
How much is in there, Dave?
Uh,
114.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
which is not
and the
very-
last I talked to the engineer, that wouldn't even pay for the engineering.
No, okay.
And that's I think a valid concern also with this, is the engineering cost. Rich, I noticed composting organics, food waste and tree debris.
Right.
So is your intent to stop the practice of burning brush then?
Not necessarily. If we still want to, I don't see why we can't. You know, even at a new site, you just got to be cognizant of you have a new neighborhood now.
Well, I guess that's where I'm going,
You know,
is if you're gonna compost tree debris, don't you have to grind it up then? So that would involve
Chipper.
purchasing, yeah, chipper.
You just get a chipper and
Yeah,
run stuff
but
with the chipper.
Right, it's another expense is my point.
And another bunch of labor. But,
Well, that can be done on and off times. I mean, you're obviously not gonna have a chipper machine running, have David running a chipper on a Saturday when everybody's going to the transfer station. You do it on off time, off hours. Yeah.
Right, but we've got part-timers up here,
Right.
so I'm not sure there are off hours for them.
well, that's part of, that's the, I shouldn't say the least bit of all your plans, but that's not, it's not your make or break moving a transfer station if we're not doing composting, we're composting tree debris at the moment. Is there any way to leave, like, say you move, does it make any sense to leave what's working up at the current transfer station there, like the burn pile or the whatever, and just have anybody who specifically,
The problem with that is that it's unmonitored.
Yeah.
So then you have people going up there and
Alright.
probably throwing stuff in the pit that
Yeah.
you shouldn't be throwing in the pit.
We don't actually recycle any trees at this point at all.
I don't think so.
You know, we got leaves coming in there.
Yeah.
that type of stuff.
Yeah.
What I meant by composting organic, both food waste and tree debris, and what I'm picturing is like leaves and small branches, stuff like that. Stuff that people break up in their lawn.
Yeah.
And they can bring that, and that's actually good to add to the food waste to help compost it.
Yeah. And are you just suggesting piles, like rows that you're composting, or?
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna come up with site layout. We start looking at things. If we get 3 acres or if we get 5 acres, I mean, obviously one versus the other is gonna give us more room for composting, turning things over. I think the stuff will turn over and compost fast. The smaller the piles, you spread them out, turn it over, and all of a sudden you get a lot of good dirt for bring your truck over.
So I'm assuming that part of your, also you're trying to figure out exactly what this is going to cost, is figuring out exactly what kind of employee power it's going to take to run it.
Yep.
Whether it's bigger, smaller, more or less, that'll be
I see.
hourly wages, et cetera.
Yep, I see it's probably gonna be as it is now. It should be able to run minimally, with minimal staff. With the space, in a perfect world, you have an office. I can see all the recyclables that are being dished off. You've got a scale on this side. He's looking and monitoring and doing the charges for the weight stuff while he's sitting in the office and stuff. A lot of it can be run from a windowed shack. Charges, monitoring, people need something, well, the scale's gotta wait, it's gotta go out and help these people. You spread the stuff out so that stuff is being put in the proper location. That's one of the biggest things with the site now, is that people they go through the transfer station and they're putting all the stuff in, and then they pull out. Of course, you get a line of cars in behind you, and you get to the trailers out there, and now, oh, I've got to drop this off. I'll just leave this here in the trailer. And that's how the tools showed up in the trailer, and how the stuff that's not supposed to be there ends up in the trailer. It's the last stop, and it's not being monitored. You know, if you have a spread out location so that the used motor oil goes over here, and batteries get put over here, and recyclables over here, and you get that all sprayed, refrigerators over here, your construction debris over there. I mean, the more spread out, people are less apt to contaminate stuff.
Well, more spread out too, that's why I'm just concerned if it's more spread out, and there's more things going on, you know, your comment about monitoring becomes more important. You know, you may be sitting in a windowed shack looking at a scale, but then there's all this other stuff going on. Not that it's not a good idea, I'm just saying, I think you might wanna take another look at how many employees it will really take. Once you get a site plan, then you'll know more about who can actually be where doing what.
We can
When we
design
seem to
it.
have,
We can design it how we want to design it at this point.
yes,
In
but
other
we
words,
currently also have problems getting bodies
Yep.
to work, so so long as that's just taken into account, I'm sure it will be. I just wanna make a note that,
Oh, of course.
to me, that's an important part of it, is the people power.
Yeah.
Cause we seem to be having a lot of people power issues, finding more
Everybody.
bodies.
Everybody, everywhere.
Yeah. But this is a biggie.
Alright, and you're gonna be there tomorrow night,
I will.
very good. Other questions, comments?
No, this is really complete, the timeline and everything is great, it's really helpful. We definitely put the time in to make it easy to think about, so thank you.
So like I said, you know, we could find out what that number is, you know, soften the blow. We could probably take 10,000 minus what is there, assuming that either we're gonna take and put everything into that one account, or we'll take it out of that account and put it into a new capital reserve, and take the balance. So we ask for like maybe 4,000 and change. Make it an even 10,000. So combine.
Okay,
Right.
I understand what you're saying, yeah.
And that just shows, it gives us a commitment, shows that we're serious about this, and we'll move on this timeline. Fair enough?
We haven't got the final figures for 24, but the end of 23 was $6,611.
6,611.
It would certainly be nicer than having to just sit there with a title on it that's not working anymore, so.
So about 43, just under 40,
Yeah.
just under $4,400.
And if we follow this timeline, in town meeting 2027, would that be a bond then? Right, so we'd have to know everything at that point. So just keep that.
Well, you could, I mean, in 26, you could, if you wanted to buy the land,
Yup,
depending on how much it is and whatever, if you find a piece of land you want to buy, you may probably end up bonding that.
Yeah.
And then in 27, after figuring out the engineering and construction costs, you probably want to bond that too. And, you can't pay off bonds early, so you have two active bonds for one project, so to speak, potentially.
Yeah.
Unless you want to raise money by taxes.
right, which, and that would be,
Yeah, it'd be not a big hit.
it absolutely would.
Out of curiosity, you said the best sites are at exit 18, but where else have you looked? Is there any other possibilities? Maybe not as good, but just out of curiosity.
We started looking out at 106.
Yeah.
You know, wasn't much out there. The draw for 18 is the highway. Because it's close to the Pennacook, the incinerator right now, which is still running. And they just signed a 10-year lease with Concord, not a lease, but contract, 10-year contract with Concord. I think that was about 2 years ago. So they're probably either in year 2 or 3 in that 10-year contract. So they're gonna be up and running at least for another 7 years. And then, if they close, worst case scenario, they close, and now we've gotta figure out where we're gonna bring our trash. And there's a lot of possibilities. We can join with another community or something like that. But I see us going with one of those electric compactors. Fill it up. You have 2 of them. Fill it up. When it's full, stop the line, get the house, pull it out of the way, slap the other one in it, and now you're good for however long it takes. We don't really put out, it would probably take about 2.5 weeks worth of our trash to fill one of those things.
What do they do with the compacted, is it burnable at that point?
It goes to landfill, goes to, well, you can, I mean, people bring them, the towns bring them to the incinerator,
Okay,
Boston takes them from.
they do, okay, yeah.
so it's just a matter of, that's the other thing is that we don't have a truck to do that.
Correct. That, I think we talked about that one of the other times.
And right now, what you could do is you could contract with an outfit. I don't see us needing to invest in that right now. When we would need a truck is if we have to transport it. So the landfill that
Yeah.
or Rochester. That's probably when we'd want to have our own truck to take and give that thing a ride.
Yeah.
But until then, I could see us just leasing, coming up with a rental agreement with, with these other, whether it's Casella or, we started looking, but then it's like, it's a lot. Now any of these places, it's just a truck. It's like a dumpster.
Is it? Okay.
It's like a dumpster. It's just it comes up onto the back of the truck and the pulleys on the wheels, and then they just truck it.
Yeah.
It's based on tonnage.
Yeah.
So our contract expires 12/31/29. With waste,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah. So the potential.
Incinerator.
Yeah. Okay. Does I know it's a detailed question, but does the contract require a certain period of time notice if they're gonna cancel?
does, however, it talks about if you wanna pull out of the contract, there has to be notice given by both sides. I know they had a facility out in Lebanon, and they closed it with a year's notice. So, which I think I'd have to read the,
Well, we wouldn't necessarily be pulling out of there yet. Anyways.
but if they close, if they
close.
if they notify us tomorrow, they're shutting
Right.
down.
And that's my fear, Rich.
That's the,
Is that in 2028, they all of a sudden say, we're done taking Canterbury's.
Well, I don't think they can, because they got, like I said, they signed a contract with Concord. It was a 10-year contract, and I think they're in either year 2 or year 3 of that.
Yeah.
So.
well, Concord's part of the co-op.
Yeah.
Concord is part of the co-op, and it's the co-op that they have a contract with.
Okay.
And the co-op goes to the individual
I
towns.
thought it was later than that. It was like only, so this is 24, 25. So it was like 22 that Concord had just up their contract, renewed their contract.
So ours started in 1/1/23 and goes through to 29.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting because it was supposedly a 10-year contract. Which, by the way, front page of the Monitor, we like our green bags, don't we?
What was your?
They're stirring the pot about the purple bags in Concord. poor quality, ripping open, defective bags in the rolls.
Yeah. Interesting.
Purple bags.
Well, we get green ones.
Right. For better,
Yeah, same manufacturer probably.
no doubt.
I don't think Boston doesn't do bags, do they? I don't think Guilford did bags either, so there's other ways of doing this.
Stickers, I
That's-
know, are a
Stickers.
possibility, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with a fresh side like this, I mean, that's another thing is that we can look at different models.
Yeah.
You know, the bags is one, the pay as you throw. Dump stickers is another model.
Yeah.
Simply flat out paying weight, because that also encourages recycling.
Yeah.
You know, have everybody drive over this.
Yeah.
You know, and then you drive over it when you leave. And what's missing is what you pay for. You know, it's just,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of different models that,
Yeah.
and you can be very creative.
And I think all of that should be discussed as part of this.
I mean, but the idea is that, you know, the first thing I would do after town meeting is I'm gonna try to find, you know, obviously, it will be well known what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, with the support of the select board and then, the capital reserve, and the first thing I'm gonna do is put Murdo, you know, in that, wants to get involved.
Yeah.
You know, I'll need some guidance because I'm somewhat new here, I don't know everybody. So, you know, I'll float the names across you guys and let you cherry pick who you want to be on, you know, to work towards it. And I think we can, there's ways around it, there's ways to keep costs down, there's ways to be innovative in thinking and stuff, and I think the biggest expenses are gonna be the concrete walls and paving it and
And the
fencing.
engineering work is always, that's the one that, at least in my experience, sometimes it's a startling amount of money. Yeah, engineering, an engineering site.
My final question would also be, is this whole project going to be the sole focus of the solid waste committee? Is it going to be a different committee? Is there going to be a subcommittee?
I don't know.
Who's going to be looking after
Yeah.
the transfer station running between now and whenever this is finished, while everybody is focused on getting, because this is a boatload of work and it's going to
Sure.
take everybody's time.
Yeah.
So do you have any sense of how your committee is going to be organized during this?
I don't know. We'll have to see how provide, you know, I'm anticipating that you're gonna give us the money from the capital reserve. And I'm planning to go forward, but if you guys say, no, we're not putting anything, we can't do it this year, we're not gonna do the capital reserve, that pulls the rug out from under my feet, and
So you would start thinking about how to do two things at once until you know you've got the money for this. Correct?
I mean, my focus is the solid waste committee, we are going to, what's on the agenda, the next thing on the agenda is updating the fee schedule. The fee schedule is the one that Adrian wrote in 2012. It's right down at the bottom of the fee schedule. It's over 12 years old. That's first priority, so, you know, the thing is probably getting some real costs. What are the real costs?
And I think
Yeah.
regarding committees, we get to decide.
Mhm.
You know, that's, I think we have our powers to decide if we need a separate committee.
Yeah. Yeah,
We should be thinking about that.
I'm not gonna assume that I'm gonna take hold of it. You know, I'd like to be involved with it.
Yeah.
I'd like to spearhead it, but right now I'm doing what I feel I need to do as far as where we've gotten to on the committee. And this is just a combination of 2 years worth of work. I'm tired of talking about green bags and going back and forth and looking at green bags, and it's like, we can't even do anything right now because the alternatives aren't doable where we're at.
We did the center project, he actually had a selectmen's rep that sat on the board and was very involved in the whole thing. That worked out well.
I think that's a good suggestion. All right,
It's a lot to think about, make no mistake.
yes it is.
Thank you.
When do you need a decision on this?
Sooner the better. I mean, I'm gonna go tomorrow night.
Yeah, and I think that will give us all kind of a peek at what members of the town are thinking. I don't know how people are gonna feel about this. It's a very big number, that's what concerns me.
The costs.
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah.
$1.5 million is the target, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
You know, and
What do you generally budget for construction over what you assume it's going to be? Back again?
somebody 20%, I think.
30%. I see
Yeah.
lots of nodding.
Yeah.
Alright,
25%.
Yeah, and like you said in the beginning, every year that we don't do it, the costs are gonna rise, we all know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's not gonna get cheaper next year, it's not gonna get cheaper 10 years down the road, it definitely won't be cheaper when the stage brings down the next time it was a capital landfill. So, you know, and then, when you get a capital landfill, then you're gonna have to cap the landfill and find a new place. So,
Yeah.
this is the proactive approach.
Agreed.
It does seem to be a fairly active committee too, which is
Which is always nice to see, absolutely.
Figure.
All right, thank you, Rich. Appreciate
you.
all the work you've
Alright.
done so far, and we'll talk more tomorrow night.
Just a bit more.
See you guys.
Brandon,
Thank you.
thanks.
All right. What do you think, want to sign?
Yeah.
Good. Plan? Let's see, those are all the ones. Where's the ones? Let's see.
Some of these on the last Monday too, I believe.
Some, yeah. There's more. Yeah, we're sorry, I was just gonna say that.
Hands are always out.
Yeah. All right, so this looks like an accounts payable manifest in the amount of $24,519.52.
So,
And second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So this looks like our first accounts payable manifest of 2025 then. The group would be our next one. Thank you. So the next accounts payable manifest is in the amount of $534,000, $534,293.65.
so moved.
And seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I'm assuming Ken.
School district.
Yeah.
Yes.
So was there a payroll manifest?
That's what you got right there.
That's the big one.
It looks
Yeah.
A
new.
lot of detail. Oh, this
Oh,
is
that's the
new.
new
uh,
system.
Ah,
Very
okay.
sexy.
Paperwork.
Yeah. All right, so, accounts payable manifest in the amount of, payroll manifest in the amount of $51,413.03.
So moved.
Excuse me, and seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye. Yeah. So we each tone,
It is, lots of detail.
but most of the detail done now by the accounting system, yes? As opposed to,
Oh, yeah.
And why don't we look at minutes next?
alright,
There's that.
There's 2 sets of minutes and lots of suggested changes.
Okay, so why don't we look first at the December 16th, 2024 draft minutes?
Okay, so the first suggested change is, on line 63, 103, and 112, Snowshoe Hill Road gets talked about in several places. The suggestion is either move where Chief Gamache and John were talking about Snowshoe Hill Road into the same section, or on line 113, add C above sections 2.d.vi and 2.c. So it's just,
Yeah.
there's an option there, which one you wanna do.
I'm a fan of putting them all in the same place under the same discussion. Just so people, anybody reading it, referencing back this.
Okay, it's a question of chronological order or logical order.
I think in this case, logical order is what you're suggesting.
Yes.
That makes sense to me as well. Kent, any preference?
Same place.
Alright, so those will all get moved to the same spot.
I wanted to make sure that there wasn't a legal reason to have it chronological. But for anybody reading this, again, okay, yay.
Another change is on line 96. Reference, it just is a reference to, this was talked about in the previous meeting.
Yep.
The only question there was at the previous meeting, Ralph's name wasn't mentioned because he wasn't hired yet.
Yep.
So it's just now, his name is attached to the whole contract stuff, so it's already public knowledge, it's just stuff.
Yeah. Makes sense.
The next thing is on line 154. The subsections 1, 2, and 3, just rearranging those so that it is, in this case, chronological order.
Yep.
So it's the original tax amount, then Rich came in and disputed, we
Yep.
already talked about it, this is what happened, and then it was revised to the new amount.
Okay.
So it's more cause and effect.
Yep.
And then the last change is line 331, changing it to be a little more clear. So instead of saying people, it's board and committee members, and the requirements for posting notices and draft minutes.
Yep.
Alright, so if you guys are good with
Wait,
that.
I did have there was one other thing, and I didn't know, I think I asked this back on, line 95, with the new highway employee, he accepted the agreement to get a CDL. Do we need to say what that agreement is or reference back to?
That's what the 12 to 24 section 6B is referencing back.
Oh, we're going to add that.
Yeah.
Perfect, okay, thank
That's
you. Then, yes. Then as amended is great for me, that's my vote.
Is that a motion?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right,
Oh, I think that's the first motion I've made.
good job.
So the second set of minutes, there's some typos and formatting changes, but I'm just gonna say the major ones. On line 44, changing it to say, to work 35 hours per week, and if it would be helpful for her workload.
Yeah.
And then on line 60, making it a more complete sentence by adding a comma and ending it with that it is appropriate to add a separate legal line to the planning board budget.
Yeah.
Yep, so those are the two for that. If you would like that.
I'm on a roll, I make a motion to, accept them as amended.
Second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right. That's minutes. Ken, wanna move on to new business?
Sure.
Security system update.
Oh, yay.
So, we have security systems, in the Housing Museum.
Yep.
The Elkins Library and the Elkins Museum and the Town Hall. We had to upgrade the system in the Town Hall earlier this year because there was a problem with the one that was there. So we upgraded it. The new upgrade, has a camera, so you can see inside the building. We've had some alarms that have been caused by who knows what in the other two buildings. These are fairly inexpensive alarm systems that the town didn't spend a lot of money on to purchase, and they're not a lot to maintain. So the question came up, should we upgrade these other alarms, the other two buildings, with the new alarms that contain cameras so you can actually see what's going on in the building. When an alarm goes off, one of the contact people are contacted by the alarm company, and we can actually get online and see what's going on with the camera. So it may be helpful to determine whether we need to have the police come or not, and before we go there. So the cost is about $500 per building, but we got a discount on the one at the town hall because we've been a customer for a while. I have on my list to call the company to see if we can get a discount for the other two buildings. I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
Yeah.
So the cost would be at least $500 or $500 and maybe a little less. We're not sure.
Well, at least 1,000, right, for the.
Yes, $1,000,
Okay,
right.
$1,000
$500
total.
One-time fee?
Yes, a one-time fee.
Yeah.
Is that what they do, just look or?
Yeah, there's just one camera that looks, it's a standalone camera or a standby camera, whatever. You can't move it, you can't pan it.
But you see everything in.
Yeah,
Well,
the
you
one
can
that-
see, you can see where you mount it, it's a fisheye, so you can see quite a bit of the building.
Like you could see the whole inside of the town hall.
Right.
If it was changed just a little bit, you could almost
See
see
the
it
hall.
on the back hall.
Yeah.
But,
But it gives you an idea of what's going on in the building.
Yeah.
If there's an alarm activation.
Yeah. And this year, I assume we can absorb it in this year's budget.
I would hope so.
That makes sense to me.
I for one say yes, because when I get the calls, I'm often not sure when they come through, and your only choices are, dispatch the police or cancel. And I'm like, well, if I could look in the building and see, then it would be easier to
Is there a
decide.
bus running across the floor? Or is there somebody
Well,
walking
because
around in
when
there?
last week when it went off the other night at like 10:30 in the Elkins Museum, well, the door was unlocked, but the only thing was, a sheaf of papers on the floor. Okay, if I could have looked in there and seen a rat running across or whatever, a cat, something, I could have said, don't worry, don't bother the Northfield police to come down.
Right.
I'd be a lot more confident in choosing cancel or send the police if I could look at the building.
Makes sense to me.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think they're better systems. I think they wouldn't ping off as much, like the other two are always like, you've lost your connection, and you've.
They're sound connected, and the older ones lose service now and then. So
Batteries, I think perhaps they must have better batteries in the new system, because the old ones are like, yes, okay, so.
Right.
Yay.
Alright. Alright, old business 2025 budget prep.
you missed updated website of new business.
It got moved.
Oh, sorry.
I
Yeah, either one. Doesn't
Oh,
matter to me.
But
Whatever
one
we take.
question, just protocol type stuff, if I have two questions, if I have two questions that are not questions that are dealt with here at all, do they come under new or old?
You get to decide.
So if we're still on new business, if I wanted to ask about Jan's letter concerning the budget for the library, should I bring that up tomorrow, or can we talk about
I
that
think
now?
during budget prep, we should talk about
Okay.
that. That's a budget question.
Okay, so I'll bring that up then, and
I
then,
had planned to bring it up tomorrow, so that's.
Yeah.
okay, so that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I guess maybe this is old, or maybe it's just a question. Anyway, if does the ZBA, when they meet, have the ability to do what we're doing here? Can they do live stream?
Mhm.
And they can do, or zooming in?
And they should.
I trained a couple of them on how to use the system. So
Okay.
they have the ability to.
Okay, the only reason I ask is there's a couple of hearings coming up, and I know people who want to attend are going to be out of town, and I wasn't 100% sure that they'd be able to participate, but if they can, fine.
I think I'm filling in for Lisa for the January and February meetings.
Yeah.
So I'll be there and I can set it up.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, that's it for me.
All right, website update, wanna go to next then?
Sure, that's gonna be quicker than
Get out.
Okay.
The website is ready. We're trying to get it up. It was supposed to go up on Friday, but we're trying to work through some domain technical difficulties to get it actually to go to .gov. But I just wanted you to know that it's ready. There's lots of things that still need to get added, but it's a work in progress.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost here.
Yeah.
Cal, do you foresee, we've talked a lot lately, and certainly over the past year, about timely posting of minutes and agendas and things like that.
Yeah.
Moving forward, do you foresee the secretaries of the committees posting?
Yes.
And I guess, one of the things I've been thinking about since my conversation with the complainant on the last batch, if you will, of things that we didn't fulfill our legal requirements on, is how do we set up a check and balance system to make sure that they get posted in a timely manner?
The main thing to me is giving people access and training them and making sure that they don't have technical difficulties. Because that was part of the problem, was that some people don't have access because we couldn't get the new accounts.
Yeah.
Some people couldn't get access to the right pages. Some people, it just went on and on. And then some of that turned into a logjam because, I would say, it's not working for you, just send it to me within the logjam. So
Will
I
they
get
still have
too
that
busy.
option?
They will still have that option because there are some committees where nobody is comfortable with the technology, and I personally would rather those committees just send me something and I post it, or send it to me and maybe Jan and one of us can post it, rather than give somebody who's not comfortable access and then they mess up the website.
Right.
So
I certainly want to talk more tomorrow, but I think one of the things that we owe our committees is right to know law training going into 2025. I think we've got to figure out a way to do this on an ongoing basis. As new members come on, they've got to understand what their legal responsibilities are. And I think that that's where we've run into issues in the past, is because of that. So.
One new thing that's on the website is trying to get all the different boards and committees have things about do you want to join, do you want to run, trying to get people more involved. It all directs to one page about volunteering, and on that page I go into detail about these are serious jobs, you have to follow the rules. Here's the NHMA volunteer manual, and I know that there's been an idea to try to make individual manuals for each of the boards and committees and try to make the onboarding process more formalized, and so we can put that up there as well, just to give people, before they even decide to run, here's what you would have to do. And
But each committee pretty much has a job description, don't they? Or at least a mission statement, so maybe that's.
I'm not sure.
No, that's not a job.
Some do, some
Some
don't.
do, some
The
don't.
newer ones do, but the old ones
Eventually, we should probably try to get that.
Yeah, that's certainly a long-term
Yeah.
project, but, I certainly think we should be starting with our legal
The
responsibility.
basics is the legal responsibility, yeah.
Of complying with the right to know law.
Well, are we gonna get the code of conduct done here?
I'm planning, I hope to have, I hope to get all the various parts corralled and, by town meeting and start then so that we'll be able to give it to people. And code of conduct, I'm hesitant about even calling that because I think what it is in my mind more is how to do your job if you're volunteering for the town, or how to do your job if you've been elected to a position in the town. If that's conduct, I mean, then there's also the part about how you conduct yourself when you're on your job. But yeah, I wanna get together.
So is that
by
gonna
town
include
meeting.
employees as well as volunteers, or?
I hadn't thought of employees, like office staff.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think you're probably pretty clear about what you expect of the,
We have
Staff.
personnel rules and
Yeah,
regulations.
you have that, but I think the
I just wanted to make sure that it would be what you were trying to do. I didn't want
no, I'm
any way you're
thinking
doing
more
extra work that
committees,
you needed to do.
committees, volunteers, and,
Okay.
and like, appointed positions, but not hired employees of the town. Because I think there's a lot of people who think, oh, I'm just gonna volunteer for this and it's no big deal. And as Cal says, it is a big deal. One, there's in a lot of cases, there's legal responsibilities, but also if you wanna have a functioning committee, people should know that they expect you to show up, learn the rules, read your minutes, read your emails, and show up. Oh, and did I mention show up? So that's my goal. And I wanna do that by town meeting.
I would like to have a chance to vote on this so we can get it done.
Oh, I'm not just gonna present it, everybody's gonna look at drafts and stuff.
I just want it done before town meeting, so I have a chance to vote.
Oh, I see, okay. I'll do my best.
Alright, sorry, I sort of took us off track with the website update. Anything else, Cal, on that?
Just if you have questions.
The one thing I didn't see when I was looking at it the other day was I saw the calendar of like events and things, but is there going to be a calendar there for like the buildings, like how you can reserve or who's in the meeting house at any time? I thought we had talked about having one of those and then I realized I didn't see it.
It's kind of implied because everything that's in the meeting house or town hall, or like 90% of it, is the town meeting thing that's already on the calendar. I guess I should probably put a section somewhere about how to reserve town buildings. We do have that policy, the facilities use policy
Right.
is on there, but I could add more explanation.
Because do we actually have a calendar, a physical, virtual look at the little squares of the days to show what meeting is happening when? Because that's kind of what I was looking for, like could you scroll through the month of January on a calendar format?
Yeah,
Is that there?
yeah, that was there. Oh, yeah.
Okay, sorry,
Could
I
I
just didn't
look
see
at
it.
it in a list format or like a traditional boxes calendar?
But you had to choose, because there's a toggle, okay, I didn't see the toggle. But, there would be the perfect place to put a sidebar or something that just say, if you need to, or if you want to reserve the meeting hall, I could do that. Okay, thank you, that's the only thought I had, after I looked at it, so.
Anything else on the website?
No.
Alright, moving on.
One quick old business.
No.
This is kind of old business, but it's new business too. The solar, panel at solar array at the town office building is not functioning. I went down to take the monthly reading and the inverter has nothing on it, so this is completely dead. Jim Snyder came out and looked at it. I contacted Larry Martin because he did the electrical work on the building when it was renovated. So we're gonna try and figure out what's going on. Jim feels it may be an issue with the wires between the building and the array, which would require digging, and I don't know that we would be doing that in this time.
January is.
Yeah.
Probably wait until spring, just kind of give you guys a heads up.
Do we get a rebate on any, okay. Good. That'd be great. Alright, thank you, Jim, he seems to have been pretty responsive when you have to call him about.
And he repositioned one of the panels up at the municipal building, and checked it today. We revisited it just over a month ago, and it's producing 21% more than the other panels.
That's great.
So.
Oh, and that was after didn't he and Herb have to go up and grease everything and so they could move them and?
Yeah, they took that. It was the one panel that they
Yeah.
decided to move to experiment to try it.
Yeah.
And that one is producing, say 20% more
Great.
than the other ones that didn't get moved.
Yeah.
So his plan is that in the last of March is when you typically move them, 1st of April. So his thought would be that he would go up there and replace hardware, so it makes it easier to move with them, to realign them, and work with Herb at the fire station, and then get a couple people that are trainable to do that,
Yeah.
reliable, and so twice a year they would change the pitch of the panels.
That's a huge gain.
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
So,
Wonder if the Energy Committee would be interested in volunteering for that.
Yeah.
I'll ask them. All right, yeah. Thank you, Jim.
all right, unless somebody's got, again, we're at 2025 budget prep.
Yeah. I guess, let me just start off real quick. I sent everybody the budget summary. Those numbers were preliminary. I hope everybody saw that
Yes.
on my summary. We've done the budget that you received in your packet today. Has some updates in it. Updates of the bottom line with what was still missing, Cal? What did you not?
It's this column, the actuals from.
Right, the actuals for
Oh,
2025 are
Yeah.
not up to date, and then,
But the budget is as up to date as we've got it.
right, there's still, we used some of last year's numbers for.
For two things, highway, police, disability insurance.
Right, yeah. So, but pretty much that is we're very close to the bottom line. As you can see, we're, about 7.5%, almost 7.5% above last year's operating line. If you could find some time between now and tomorrow night, go down through this. My guess is the budget committee is gonna have some questions. I think, the summary spells out some of the big expenses. One of the things that we talked about at the meeting on the 30th was a legal line for the planning board.
Yeah.
That is not included in here, but I did go through the invoices today. And for 2024, the planning board spent $7,563 on legal expenses. The ZBA spent $668, and it cost us $3,623 to do the 91A training. So, I don't know. I know that Greg was concerned that 2025 has potential to have some legal expenses, again, in the higher numbers, so I figured I'd bring this tomorrow night and pass this on to the budget committee and you guys and see what your thoughts are on it.
And if you'd be so kind, could you just read those numbers again? I know they'll be in the minutes.
Sure.
I just wanna.
Planning board, 2024 legal expenses, $7,563.
Yep.
The 91A training that the town sponsored in June was $3,623.
Yep.
And the ZBA legal expenses were $668.
And then, 7, 8, 9, 10, right. And then there must be other towns.
Oh, yes, that does
Yeah.
not include all the other, we had expenses that went along with Wyven Road, we had expenses that went along with the
Yeah.
property on, that was trying to quick claim that property there. And then
Blah, blah, blah.
a whole bunch of other stuff.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thanks for tracking down all those numbers though, that'll be helpful.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see if there's anything else I have. So on the summary,
Which summary?
the one that has,
This one?
the one that says 2025 budget
Yeah.
at the top.
Yeah.
That says preliminary operating budget.
Yeah.
So that's, obviously that's changed with the numbers that we have tonight. I will change that for tomorrow night. But on the back page of that are the warrant articles.
Yeah.
Second page, are warrant articles. The library has, I got an email today. They would like to, I guess Tom Franco has proposed a warrant article for, let's see. Language would be, weatherization of the Elkins Library for $20,000. He couldn't make it tonight because he's not feeling well. He's hoping to make it to the Budget Committee tomorrow night. He said in his latest email tonight, the budgeting $20,000 on the library weatherization project will pay back in just the savings over 3 to 5 years, depending on the rebate from Unitil. The town saves $50,000 to $70,000 over 25 years in energy costs just for the library. This is based on a savings of $2,600 a year of our current $8,000, around $8,000 a year expenses, with an average yearly increase of 3% in the cost of propane and electric rates. So that's his pitch for this. And again, it's if you can add, I'm going to add that to this list to tolerate the budget.
And we also need to add the warrant, well, is it a warrant article for the Solid Waste Committee to establish the capital reserve? Am I not seeing it in this list?
I think,
Under warrant
well, I
article.
did not include that in the warrant articles because we have that warrant article. I was going to check with legal and see if
Oh,
we
okay.
could use that warrant article for that purpose.
But then if we wanted to add an extra $4,000, how would we
We
do
would,
that?
we would have to have a warrant article for that.
Okay, so
Add
there might,
$4,000 to that account reserve account. Oh,
is it on there?
oh yeah.
Which one?
Oh, I added the transfer station, $5,000 under the cap reserves.
Oh, I'm looking at
So-
so this is the one that we have tonight?
So,
Okay,
So,
I'm looking at the one
yeah.
printed out this afternoon.
so on warrant articles, our cap reserves, we make yearly deposits to our cap reserve
Yeah.
accounts.
Okay.
And they're separated out. So this year, in '25, we removed, the grader for $30,000, but added $5,000 for the transfer station.
Maybe 130. Oh, cap reserve, oh, that's what. Got it. Thank you. I was being blind.
So,
There it is, it's right there. Okay.
so you can see the, if you start at the top, Gold Star.
Yeah.
That's the last payment.
Yeah.
The Gold Star. The cap reserves are what we typically do every year, is make deposits towards those.
Yeah.
The voting machine was something we had put in the budget.
Yeah.
We couldn't get it. We encumbered it. We still couldn't get it. We didn't encumber it again. So now we need to raise that money again for the voting machine.
Yeah.
We have to have one to accept the Sand Lake Trust distributions.
Yeah.
That's something DRA specified last year.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
Is the garage renovation something we wanna talk about tomorrow night?
Yeah, I'm just going
Yeah.
down through this
Yeah.
so you guys know.
Just wanna make sure.
So
Yeah,
it's
that's why
down here, yeah.
I had put, there's a petition warrant article
Yeah.
for $60,000 to replace the Packer. So all of those really need to be included.
Yeah.
And now we get down to the ones where you guys are gonna have to make a decision on what you do. The waste oil burner for $20,000 at the highway department. the Sand Lake garage renovation, and then the cap reserve account for voting equipment, which that one, they're anticipating, the laws have changed, and the state law is gonna require, handicapped accessible voting machines for all meetings, including town meetings, as well as state and federal meetings. So there's some equipment that we're gonna have to buy, and then there's some grant money, but Sam thought that $5,000, if we establish a cap reserve account between the grant money and other money, that $5,000 hopefully would get us in the ballpark of the equipment we need to buy.
And how is it different from the marshmallow or whatever they called it that we've been using?
So that is basically well, the state has provided us with equipment. So we have the tent,
Yeah.
so to speak, and in that has to be a piece of equipment that allows people with disabilities, either blind or other
Hearing,
disabilities,
yeah.
hearing, that they can vote. The state has a supply of that equipment, and they have.
Which is what we've been using, right?
Which we have been using that for federal, but they're requiring us now to use it for all elections.
Oh, okay.
So we are probably going to be forced to purchase a piece of equipment for that
Got it.
at some point. The state still says they're gonna supply it for now, but that equipment is old and who knows when that is gonna happen. So
Okay.
the thought is to try and get ahead of the game a little bit.
Well, and if we can afford it, it certainly makes everything about voting easier, not to have to borrow it from the state and
Correct.
maybe don't have it, or maybe get an old one, or maybe get a
Yeah.
broken one, or maybe get a, yeah. Okay. All right.
So those are the cap reserves, that's the summary. Again, I'm gonna update this for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'll print out some hard copies.
So you're saying now, you think with the numbers that the, increase is not like 5.9%, more like 7 something
Yep, on the back, very back, at the
of this?
back of your spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Where you see subtotal all department expenses at the top quarter of the page.
That's 7.
Yeah.
4.
Oh, got it.
Yep. The proposed operating line right now is $3,569,641, which is $246,188 over last year. So that's 7.4%.
And just while I'm looking at the encumbrances again, it's still not here, but it might be on your radar to add I don't even know how big it is for the Conservation Commission, that one extra
So
thing.
those were the 2024 encumbrances. The
Oh, okay.
2025 are listed here.
Okay, got it. Wasn't it encumbered from 2024 for the Conservation? What? For the pipe, for burying the rocks? I thought that was 2024 money that was.
So that was, I think these numbers are from 23 to 24,
Oh, okay,
so we need to put the 24
or
to
to
25.
25, got it,
Sorry.
and that's where that will come in. The darn rock, I don't even know why I focused on the darn rocks, it was a silly thing, but. Anyway,
And I don't think we'll have all that like tomorrow night.
okay,
So,
and so after tomorrow night, when would our next budget?
so we have to have a public hearing on the budget in February. And I don't know if you wanna have another meeting with the budget committee between now and between tomorrow night and then. I think maybe after tomorrow night, you might have a better feel for what's going on and determine whether you want to schedule another
Yeah.
meeting with them or not.
Okay.
But the public hearing has to be in February.
Does it have a particular time frame, like?
Yes, I would,
before-
I have to look at, I have the dates. So we have to have it in so many days before, a certain date. And typically we do it on the night of the selectmen's meeting. And we give ourselves time in case there's changes made at that public hearing. Because if there are changes made to that budget, then we have to have a second public hearing to approve that. So there's a certain amount of days that has to be, there's a timeline. I'll try to get that for tomorrow.
When is, if I may be so bold, when actually is town meeting? It's the
I think it's in March. Is it 14?
14.
Yeah.
Part 1 is Tuesday the 11th.
Yeah. Okay.
So. It's the first event in March. So February. Oh, we are, for some reason, I already have it written in on the 3rd, public hearing. for the
On what
budget.
day?
The 3rd, Monday the 3rd
Third?
of February. That's our first select board meeting in February we talked about.
I gotta look at the dates and see if that may be it.
I think I wrote that down our last meeting, but anyway, that, we figuring that would give us enough time and have the 17th if we needed to make changes, but if that fits in with the,
That makes the most sense. We typically have it the first meeting
Okay.
in February.
okay. Gosh, sorry to get into business.
I got a letter from a constituent. She wanted to know if we were gonna give a party or anything for David for his retirement. I talked to Cal about it briefly and she suggested maybe we do a picture of David at the top of the highway department budget line, or their report.
Oh, in the town report?
So I have a picture of David. He's a very young man. Very young man. He's got teeth.
Oh my gosh, he's all the way on the left?
Yeah. It's Fred Mudge on the right.
That's a great picture.
That is a good picture.
I think it's up at the dump. I think they found some costumes or something. So, and the other one that she asked about was the house that's falling in on itself over on Old Tilton Road.
So that house, the property owner was notified by the code enforcement officer to post the property, no trespassing, and to disconnect the power because of the safety issue. I don't know if it has been or not. He was gonna check on that, make sure it has, and I know he had been handling that. I'm not sure. It's not gonna fall into the road or anything, so the town really, the only thing the town can do is make sure that the property is posted and, that the power is disconnected, so, if there's a fire or something like that, then the fire department doesn't get involved. That's pretty much, it's, I can talk to Joel about whether the town can condemn it or not, what the process is, but we felt that was the best way to handle that at this point.
She wanted to see it made into a livable structure, and I said, it looks like a mess to me, and I
It's
haven't been
owned
in.
by it's a private property and that's up to the owner.
Right, I told her that wasn't gonna happen.
Not something the town wants to get involved in, I would think.
It seems like it would be, what do they call it, an attractive nuisance though, to have an abandoned house for, kids to go in and muck around, but again, that's private property, so we can, as you said.
All we can do is.
So taking it off the tax rolls, right, so it's not being taxed.
No, it is being taxed, but there's still value to the property.
The property,
Yeah.
but not the house.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the tax card, I don't know, I know Mandy has adjusted it, but I'm not sure what has been done. The assessor really, that's up to her.
And when do we start, pulling together everything we need? Cal, are you getting reports already for the town report?
Yeah, we need to get more together.
We will send out an email with a deadline.
How do we pull together our report? Because there is a report from them.
Well, typically the chair drafts it and then sends it to the board and you guys have your input. That's how it's been done in the past.
Okay.
Um,
And I know we can't talk now about dedication since it's always a secret, but how does that actually, that process go along, figuring that out?
So that has, we have, that is in process.
Okay.
I think
We decided on
you guys
Yeah.
decided on who.
Yeah.
I've
And
got many pictures of
That
the
is being done. I think Mark Stevens is putting together the history and all that. So I think that's being worked on quite a bit.
It's
Should be
done,
pretty well done.
it's done, it's just what he wrote was way too long, so
Oh, okay.
I need to edit it.
And you got permission again to chop what you want.
I'm gonna have to, so.
And as far as the cover, I know Sam had some ideas about the cover, and then I heard that Oscar Coney also had differing ideas. Now, did they get?
I know Sam
Just
talked
like
to me briefly about it. They have, the historical society is typically the ones that have been doing it. So,
Okay. Sam had approached me about doing some artwork, but I hadn't heard, so I didn't know that. I'll just ask him.
Yep.
Okay.
Big motion to adjourn.
second that motion?
Okay, yes.
Okay, all right, all those in favor?